Hello, good morning, and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Please do us a big favour. Smash that like button. Please hit the share button as well. If you put this out on your Twitter, your Facebook, your Insta feeds, it's an amazing way to support the channel and platform. And equally, a big thanks to everybody that's signed up so far to our new Patreon page. The link for that is in the description below. New equipment is being ordered this week for our new shows, and I've got meetings booked in directly with YouTube for use of their studio space for some other bits and pieces that are coming up. So thank you all so much for your contributions, because you're helping us to grow and move in the direction that we want to. We're going to talk about a number of subjects this morning. The first stream of the day going forward from now in relation to transfers is going to touch on 2 or 3 clubs at the same time. We want to try and spread the love a little bit more than we maybe have been doing in recent times. We're going to touch on Harry Maguire and his reported medical today. The media themselves are literally in two minds about this. Some journalists think it's happening, others have completely debunked it, but we'll go through that in a moment. We're going to touch on Arsenal Football Club, an apparent hijack move for Dani Alvarez to try and take him away from Tottenham. It does appear that Liverpool have a new target now as well, a player that I hadn't really heard of, but we'll go through that a little bit later in the stream. And then, of course, interact with your live comments. But we will start off, first of all, with Harry Maguire and the situation as it currently stands. Yesterday afternoon, early afternoon, it broke that United had reportedly reached an £80 million agreement with Leicester City for the signing of the England centre-back. That would be an initial £60 million upfront cash money, with £20 million as conditional add-ons. Now, the conditional add-ons are very important to focus on, because they're all based on what Manchester United do, what Manchester United achieve with Harry Maguire as a mainstay and a regular part of that lineup. I would guess that things like Champions League qualification, Premier League winning seasons, and maybe even things like FA Cups and Europa League success within that as well, with Harry Maguire playing a high percentage of games within those competitions. A comment there from PDXL says 80 million, a bit too much. Not in this market. Not when it looks as though Dunk is going to replace Maguire, who is older. No disrespect, he isn't at the same level and quality as Harry Maguire, and you're talking about £45 million for him. When you look at the fact that Tyrone Mings, good player, he's not Maguire's level, has just gone for nearly £30 million. So it makes complete sense in the way in the spectrum we're in. Plus, you've got to add in the factor of supply and demand. And if you just study basic economics, when there's a high demand for something and a low supply level, or there's not a great quantity of such commodities needed, the price goes up. And the example I would draw from is the fact that it's like scarcity. People have been telling us now for years that there are very few top centre-backs in the world. And I kind of agree. Like, defending has kind of fallen by the wayside when it comes to Premier League clubs, especially in recent years. So if we're going to believe what the majority of people have said for the past 5 years or so, that the art of defending is dead, that makes top quality defenders scarce. When something is scarce, they become very valuable. So if Harry Maguire is one of only 4 or 5 real top-level centre-backs in the Premier League, due to that scarcity, his valuation shoots up. And people have got to learn to understand how these things work before they start to judge the prices of said players. Would I like to sign him for less money? Of course. But like I alluded to yesterday, and I'll say the same again, if he comes in and he puts in 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 performances each week, nobody, including rivals, will mention his transfer fee ever again. We don't do it with Van Dijk. We never mention that transfer fee ever because of the quality. We never mentioned, go back when transfer fees were lower, but still as high in terms of percentage of turnovers. When Rooney was signed for 27 million in 2004, when Rio Ferdinand was signed for 30 odd million into 2002, 2003, people were, that's a load of money. But because of how brilliant they were for the club, never spoken about again. And that's the same thing that will happen here if, of course, Harry Maguire is successful. But onto his medical. Look, he'll pass the medical, no problems. His injury record is phenomenal. I think he missed 35 days in the last 4 years, and that was with one injury, and he missed 7 games. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens. And I'm also like in two minds as where the medical would take place, because my understanding is Leicester are by Lake Geneva, and I'm not sure. My geography isn't brilliant. Obviously, I understand Lake Geneva is in Switzerland. I've been there, but does it touch on any other countries? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But he's definitely near Lake Geneva, so my guess is Switzerland, but it could be France if the lake covers different borders. It may or may not. Excuse my ignorance. My geography is awful, as I say. Either way, will he have a medical in that part of the world in Geneva? Will he fly out to Australia to do it, or will he take an hour or so flight back to Manchester, private plane, get his medical done, and join up with the Man United squad? Nobody knows the answer to that, and I think that's why a lot of people are guessing, and deals like this are always an interesting one. But I hope the medical goes through today. I truly hope that for there to be an official announcement on social media, because I think it would just relieve a lot of pressure that Man United fans are feeling at the moment, a lot of pressure ahead of this new season. And I think that everybody can then relax, because we can put all of our attention into signing Bruno Fernandes or that additional midfielder. And then after that, let's try and clear out a little bit of the dead wood. And once you've signed your players, you haven't got to worry so much about that. You really, really don't. But there we go. Mike says here, wages for Maguire. Absolutely no idea what the wages would be, but I reckon it'll be on a minimum of £150,000 a week signing for United. I cannot imagine it being any less than that. It will be for big money. There's no doubt about that in my mind. We're going to jump into a few additional stories that we're going to discuss today. There is a link in the description below that briefly touches on all of these as well. So if you want to have a little read and look through them afterwards, of course, feel free to do so. And as we said at the top of this video, please do us a big favor and hit that like button and share button. It's a fantastic way of supporting the channel and platform. Additionally, big thank you to everybody who signed up to our Patreon account. Really do appreciate that so far. As I mentioned, new equipment. I was looking at it last night and getting ready to sort that all out. And yeah, the new shows and everything's going to be on the way. Everybody that signed up's had a personal message from me now. And yeah, I really do appreciate all the support that you're giving us here. It means the world to us. So thank you very much. And if you do want to join, if you do want to contribute, the link to that, as I say, is in the description below. Let's just wait for this paper to load up here. So let's talk a little bit about Arsenal. We'll move on talking about Arsenal here, because it's an interesting one. There's two things on Arsenal today, really. First of all, there was the story in relation to the letter. I don't know if you've seen the letter that's been sent to the board and to Kroenke. I thought was interesting. I kind of felt as if, there's some interesting names on there, but here's a little bit about it. It goes, Arsenal blasted in brutal statement. This was Arsenal's transfer strategy is just one aspect of the club's activity, which has been slammed by Gunners fan collective, the Black Scarf movement. I like that sound of that, the Black Scarf movement. That's James Bond-esque. It says, this part of the letter, it says, there is a desperate need for some new and dynamic appointments. The addition of an independently minded directors can act as a genuine check and balance for our owners. Ideal candidates would have football and commercial expertise relevant to the needs of a club in 2019, and ideally some Arsenal DNA. Arsenal have invested money in recent years, but their approach is to both buying players and paying wages looks uncoordinated and appears to lack strategy. There has also been a lot of turnover in the senior football personnel. A strong board would proactively manage this. And it's an interesting thing. You can find that letter on social media. It's worth finding it and reading it. There's a number of names that have signed it, Hugh Wizzy being one. And DT has tweeted it out this morning. And it makes a lot of sense. And this is actually one of the ways you take real action. And you also demonstrate as a collective fan base that you know what you're talking about. And I think that a lot of people I actually, a lot of people do, and I do. I'm a Man United fan, but I sympathise with Arsenal fans. The volume of money they've paid into the club and the return they're getting. Arsenal must have more money. There's no way Tottenham are richer than them. There is no way that. Yeah, okay. United, City, and Chelsea are definitely richer. Liverpool maybe, but with the global fan base Arsenal have, the amount of money they charge for tickets, the TV money they earn, the merchandise they have a lot more money to spend than they are, and more needs to be done. But I do think what Arsenal fans have to do to temper this is you've got to stop with buying the merchandise. You've got to cut the snake's head off. And you've heard me talk about this from a Glazer standpoint as well. And if you're really gonna, what's frustrated me in the last week, Man United fans are doing it is, don't buy anything, don't fund the Glazers, terrible owners. And then I see these people buying kits, doing reviews on the kits. I'm like, you do realise that generates money for the club. And a lot of people say, oh well, Man United have already been paid by Adidas, so it doesn't matter if I buy the kit or not. Well, it does, because all the kits you buy this season feed into the overall numbers Adidas makes, which make put Man United in a stronger position to negotiate an even bigger contract when the sponsorship renewal comes up. But if for 2 years nobody bought a Man United kit, the amount of money Adidas would offer Manchester United would drop significantly, meaning the Glazers would be forced to listen to the fans because their income would stop. But these things take time, so I think it's a great start from Arsenal fans with this letter. In other Arsenal news as well, I'm just going to scroll down to the story here. It says here, the headline is Arsenal plot Tottenham transfer hijack. It says Tottenham transfer target Dani Alvarez has been lined up with a move to their North London rivals by Unai Emery. AS reckon the Gunners' boss has told the Emirates chief to hand the out-of-contract Brazilian star an offer to join them. Spurs have been looking at Alvarez as a potential candidate to bolster Mauricio Pochettino's squad, whilst his release from Paris Saint-Germain is understood to have sparked interest from Manchester City. Why do Manchester City need Dani Alvarez? On what planet? On what planet do Man City need him? But listen, if Arsenal can pull that off, wow. But this is where that letter makes sense, and it's why these two stories correlate for me. Dani Alvarez is going to ask for a colossal amount of money. Huge amount of money. Maybe more money than Aaron Ramsey wanted for a new deal. And if Arsenal offer Dani Alvarez that money, yes, I think he'll improve your right side of the field. He's a top player. But that's where the letter that the fans have sent makes sense, because it shows that this transfer strategy and the wage structure strategy, they're uncoordinated. They don't make any sense. You would offer somebody that's never played for your club a bigger deal than a very good player who's leaving, who's now gone to a European rival. It really doesn't make much sense. Unavailable here says Alvarez is an old man. Have you watched Dani Alvarez play in the last year or so? Do you understand how good he still is? Come on. Oral Campbell says, hi Terry, it's 5 o'clock here and I'm waiting for a notification which never came. Sorry, my man. Honestly, if you want notifications, you've got to press the bell button on your app or whatever system you use to watch the YouTube videos on. You have to put your own push notifications on. YouTube will not notify the majority of our subscribers when we go live because we're not a corporate entity. If we were a corporate entity and we were signed up and we did all the right things with YouTube, they'd do it, but we're not. So they only support the big boys. They don't support the small independent channels. So you need to do that yourselves. Or what I would do is bookmark the homepage. And you kind of know we go live most days around 10 o'clock. We go live most times around 3, 4 o'clock. And then again, 8 to 9 o'clock. Just refresh the page around those times and you should see it come up. So that's pretty much that one. I'll talk a little bit about Liverpool here. There was a Liverpool rumour that went out today. I want to go and try and find it. Where are we at here? You know when you lose something, you're like, it was here earlier. Now the page is refreshed and it's moving away. Real Madrid, because Liverpool identified new target. Liverpool have put Fedor, I want to say it's Chalov, on their wish list as Jurgen Klopp looks to make up for Daniel Sturridge's departure. The Reds boss is keen to bring in a backup for his all-star forward line of Salah, Mane, and Firmino. And the Mirror reckons Chalov is the man he is chasing following a successful stint at CSKA Moscow. Arsenal and Man United are also said to be interested in snarling. I've heard that word before used in transfers, but snarling the forward who plays international football with Russia. So, yeah, Liverpool fans, what do you make of that one? I mean, you definitely... I am surprised that Liverpool haven't made a signing yet, to be honest. European champions, 1 point behind Man City. Great campaign last year. Sturridge has gone. A few other youngsters have moved out. I expected a bit of business right now by Liverpool. But I suppose, I was talking to a few scousers the other day and they made really good points that there is this real balancing act here for Jurgen Klopp. You don't want to add too much in and unsettle the balance of your squad and the mood. Equally, you don't want to not bring in the new blood and keep that competitive nature there. And look, this could end up being a masterstroke by Liverpool, keeping pretty much the same group together. They could go on from strength to strength and be even better than before. It could go the other way. And the opening 5 games of the Premier League season are going to be amazing. I cannot wait. We're three or so weeks away now from it all kicking off. It's going to be amazing. But there we go. I'm going to go back now and do your live comments to see what you're all saying, what you're all thinking, feeling, etc. Scroll down here. Liverpool and Spurs' depth needs improvements to catch City. That's from Tyrone Hodges. I agree. Sorry, I've got a scratchy foot. I agree with you. I do think they need to improve their strength in depth. Spurs, yeah, look, they signed Ndombele, but I think they need to bring in Lo Celso. I think they may need another forward instead of Llorente. They're clearly chasing another centre-back because they've gone after Saliba. So Tottenham are still trying to get 2 or 3 more players in. Liverpool they've gone after Pepe. They haven't got it over the line. They went after Bruno Fernandes. He rejected them. Of course, they're now looking at forwards. So Liverpool are looking and they are thinking about signing and trying to sign. So I think if Liverpool fans are honest, they would agree with you as well on that. Let's see a few more here. Yeah, Coutinho, welcome home to Liverpool is what Che wants. Yeah, Coutinho going back would make a lot of sense. But then how would you set up? Because would you still play the 4-3-3? Who drops out for Coutinho? What formation would be played? Would you go with a 4-2-1-3? Would that be how you would do it? 2 holding midfielders, Coutinho playing in a 10. But then what does that do for Firmino? There's a false 9 that drops deep. Honestly, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm simply asking for your tactical thoughts on how that would actually work. Terry, what happened to Fan Park Live? Fan Park Live stopped. No real problems with UFF as such, but they just wanted to go in a different direction, wanted to make and focus their attention doing different types of shows. I myself, I lived a long way away from that studio, so I live about, on average, with traffic, like 2.5 hours for each leg of the journey. So I was going to the studio 4 or 5 times a week, and it was taking me 4 or 5 hours each time, and after 18 months, it became very grueling and tiring. So we came to the mutual conclusion to stop the show, as it were. But watch this space with what we're doing on the Football Terrace. This is all part and parcel of what you're helping us to build. It's why the Patreon account is so important, so we can get the right equipment and the right and get the right people on board, because we're going to grow the goal review show, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and it will eventually be of that same standard. So that's kind of what and why and where. There's no real there's nothing crazy went on. There's no underlying issues. There's no problems. As I say, I'm still doing a lot of work for UFF. Still working alongside them. So it's all good and gravy. I think people were looking for some smoking gun and what happened? Nothing. Just a change of direction and people wanting to do different things. Terry, what's your reaction to Nabil Fekir to Real Betis? That's a shock for me. Like, truly, honestly, that is a shock, because Fekir is a top player, and I'm really surprised other clubs haven't come in for him. Bigger clubs haven't come in for him. It's a shame, really. This is from Loose Ent. It says, Terry, your show was the best on YouTube, from a Liverpool fan. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you. Terry, if Maguire comes in, which centre-back would you like to see leave? Well, I think you go in order of quality. So Rojo would be my first choice to go, followed by Jones followed by Smalling in that order. And yeah, and that would probably be the order in which they go in as well. And I mean, no disrespect to any of them, but that's what I would personally like to see happen. But there we go. Listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Before we leave, please do me a big favor. Smash the like button. Please hit the share button as well. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.